Today, we're diving into one of the simplest yet most powerful keywords in the Swift programming language, final. Seriously, it's just one little word, but it unlocks some huge advantages in your code.
And that brings us to the big question, right? How on earth can a single keyword make your application both safer and faster at the same time? It sounds like a pretty big claim, I know, but trust me, final absolutely delivers. So here's the secret in a nutshell. The final keyword is basically a restriction. Think of it like putting a big do not change sign on a piece of your code. When you mark something as final, you're telling the Swift compiler, hey, this thing is done. It's complete. Nobody should be allowed to modify it in a subclass.
All right, so that's the what, but how do we actually put this into practice? Well, there are three main places you can use the final keyword, and each one gives you a different kind of protection. Let's take a look at what it actually blocks. It really breaks down into three super simple rules. If you mark a class as final, it's like a finished Lego tower. You can't build on top of it. No subclassing allowed. Then you've got a final method. This is kind of like a rule in a rulebook that can't be changed. Its logic can't be overwritten. And finally, a final property works the same way. It's a fixed part that can't be changed by a subclass. Pretty straightforward, right? Let's make this real with a code example. So here we have a vehicle class, and we've marked it as final. Its design is locked in. Now, see what happens when we try to create a new electric car class that inherits from vehicle. The compiler just stops us cold. It throws an error saying you can't inherit from a final class. It is a hard, definite stop. And this same idea applies to methods too. Look at our animal class on the left. It has a make sound function, and we've marked it final. That behavior is now set in stone. So over on the right, when we create our dog subclass and try to override make sound to make it bark instead, nope, the compiler stops us again. That final keyword is protecting the original behavior. Okay, so we know what final does, but you might be wondering, why would I want to block my own code like this? Well, the first huge reason is safety. And I'm not talking about security from hackers, but the safety that comes from making your code super stable, predictable, and robust. Just imagine you've written a really critical piece of logic in your app, maybe a complex calculation or a core algorithm. Its behavior has to be 100% consistent, no exceptions. By marking that class or method as final, you are guaranteeing that no other developer, or let's be honest, even your future self, can accidentally mess with its fundamental logic in a subclass. It ensures your most important code works exactly as you intended, everywhere, every time.
Now, for the second benefit, and this is the one that might really surprise you, speed. That's right, using final can actually make your code run faster. It's like giving a direct hint to the compiler that lets it make a really powerful optimization. The magic behind this performance boost is a concept called static dispatch. Basically, when the compiler sees that final keyword, it knows for a fact that this method will never be overwritten. And with that certainty, it can skip a whole bunch of lookup work it would normally have to do when your app is running. Let's compare these two approaches. On the left, you have static dispatch. Think of this like an express train on a dedicated track. Because final guarantees the destination won't change, the compiler can build a direct link right when it builds the app. It's incredibly fast. On the right is dynamic dispatch, which is the default for classes. This is more like needing to check a map and a timetable at runtime. The program has to figure out which version of a method to call, and that little bit of lookup adds up, making it slower. So when you use final, you're choosing the express train. Okay, so let's wrap this all up. We've seen exactly how final works, and more importantly, why it's so good for both the stability and the speed of our code. And really, this says it all perfectly. Final is a tool that takes almost zero effort to use, but the payoff you get in more predictable, more efficient code is just massive. It's a small choice that shows you're being deliberate and clear about your design. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. As you go back to your own projects, take a look around. Think about those core classes and critical methods that you never ever intend to change. Where could you sprinkle in this small keyword to add a whole lot more safety and speed to your code?